If you're on TikTok or really any sort of social media, chances are you've probably come across a video featuring this woman screaming or lashing out unexpectedly. Most people don't really think much of these videos, simply dismissing them as just another bizarre showcase of an internet personality. But, as you'll soon find out, behind the memes and clips is a much more sickening reality. In this video, we're going to take a deep dive into a story of online exploitation, disturbing displays of ableism, and a hidden aspect to the whole story that nobody else is talking about. This is the case of Xiao Xiao, a victim of one of the darker sides of internet fame. If you're new here and love real-life horror content, internet mysteries, and in-depth explorations into the unsettling corners of the web, please consider subscribing and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next. For those of you who don't know who Xiao Xiao is, she's a Chinese woman, or girl, whose exact age is unclear. Some say she's 16, others believe she's closer to 38, with the reason for such a youthful appearance being linked to a rare condition called sickle syndrome. This genetic disorder is characterized by stunted physical growth and cognitive impairment, and it's thought to be a combination of primordial dwarfism and microcephaly. Xiao Xiao and her family began posting videos to Douyin, which is the Chinese version of TikTok, a few years ago. Many of her clips have then been reposted to TikTok, where Xiao Xiao quickly began to grow in popularity. Her seemingly random meltdowns coupled with a very limited amount of context is apparently funny to many people, and the TikTok algorithm quickly took note. As far as I know, it was Xiao Xiao's mother who ran her account, and the more people that liked and commented on their videos, the more her mother continued to produce more content of Xiao Xiao hitting and screaming, intentionally trying to get a rise out of her. In the sense of getting views and engagement, they were doing well on TikTok, yet, not long after, viewers began to notice that something was off. Many people have started pointing out that Xiao Xiao looked to be in pain in many of the videos. As you can see here, she clearly has bruises on her legs, though it's unclear whether or not they were self-inflicted or caused by someone else. In addition, there is this disturbing trend going around where people began dressing up as her. They used her in memes, mocked her, and they even started calling her Chinese Dobby, as a reference to the house elf from Harry Potter. As you can see, the whole thing is just messed up. I mean, imagine being turned into someone's literal Halloween costume. But then again, the internet is a pretty cruel place, so it's not all that surprising. What is surprising, though, is the fact that the very people who are supposed to be protecting such a vulnerable person from all this harm are the ones orchestrating it. Sadly, their provocation of Xiao Xiao only became worse and worse, to the point where it crossed the line of simple taunting and entered the realm of full-fledged abuse. In video after video, her mother, or a person assumed to be her caregiver, is shown targeting Xiao Xiao by pushing her and grabbing her while the camera rolls. People have translated some of the videos, claiming that Xiao Xiao has said repeatedly that she didn't want to be filmed. At one point, a video began circulating where Xiao Xiao is seen on stage with a cross-dressing singer that goes simply by Sing Sing, as well as another disabled person who often makes appearances in these videos. But here, you can clearly see that Sing Sing continues to kick Xiao Xiao, deliberately agitating her to get a reaction. Another video shows her apparently sobbing because her hairstyle is way too tight. She couldn't have been the one to do it herself, so it must have been one of the caregivers who'd done it. Despite knowing that she was clearly uncomfortable and in pain, the person behind the camera just continued filming anyway. Then there comes one of the most blatantly sickening displays of abuse so far. In this very disturbing video, Xiao Xiao is acting up like always and hitting her mother, but then the mom is seen striking her back at full force. It was nothing proportional to the slap that Xiao Xiao had administered first, and the clip is so distressing that I won't be posting it here. But this is a warning that if you do manage to find it online, it is pretty hard to watch. The fact that they recorded, edited, and posted such a heartbreaking video with no problem at all likely points to the fact that this isn't the first time physical abuse of this magnitude has happened. It also makes one wonder if the mistreatment is much worse when there are no cameras around. But if you thought all that was bad, it only gets much, much worse, and this clip will prove why. This was taken from an X account, and it shows Xiao Xiao being trapped in an enclosed plastic bag, with a mysterious-looking man picking her up and swinging her around. In contrast to this video, where she does look like she's having a good time being carried around, this other video clearly shows that there's no way she'd be able to breathe in a bag that's completely closed off at the top. Any average person would feel claustrophobic in this suffocating environment, not to even mention someone with mental difficulties like Xiao Xiao. Even more disturbing is how the man's mannerisms eerily resemble that of presenters in one of those Chinese sales videos. You know, the kind where they aggressively showcase packaged food to grab attention. The way he carries her mimics these exact gestures, and at this point, it's not even like he's interacting with an actual human anymore, but instead like he's promoting a piece of merchandise. If this isn't completely effed up, I don't know what is. What's genuinely hard to wrap my head around, though, is how any of this was ever considered funny. Sure, you could argue that her sudden outbursts or exaggerated reactions might come off somewhat humorous on the surface, but there's also this video of her in a plastic bag. What part of that, of being stuck inside of an extremely confined sack, visibly suffocating, could possibly be seen as comedic? There's honestly no other explanation for why someone would laugh at this. The truth of the matter is that when people like Xiao Xiao are treated more like a prop than a person, it's only a matter of time before people start fearing the worst for this poor girl. When rumors began circulating that Xiao Xiao had died, internet netizens fell into deep concern. Many people believed it instantly, assuming that all the relentless mistreatment, coupled with her medical condition, had taken a toll on her for the worse. Others, thankfully, dug deeper, and it turned out she actually hadn't died.
This article that on December 12th, the Chinese government shut down a couple of accounts on Douyin because they were exhibiting bad behavior towards society. For Xiao Xiao, I think it's mostly because, she was a person that is clearly mentally disabled and was being posted online, and it just felt like bad vibes.
Whether this was due to mass reporting by concerned users or an intervention by Chinese authorities themselves remains unknown. But the message is still clear. Something wasn't right. Something that even the platform that had once allowed her to go viral on could no longer ignore. Meanwhile, on Western platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, reposted videos of her continue to rack up views, completely unchecked. Entire accounts and video compilations existed for the sole purpose of re-uploading her most entertaining meltdowns, framing it as the pinnacle of comedy. These very platforms that pride themselves on protecting vulnerable people have allowed this abuse to go viral over and over again, actively profiting from her misery through the algorithm. And yes, in case you didn't know, this is quite literally the textbook definition of exploitation, and I can't stress this enough. Xiao Xiao's presence on these platforms bears an uncomfortable resemblance to the traveling freak shows of the 19th and early 20th centuries, where people with disabilities or visible deformities were paraded in front of paying crowds for their entertainment. What we're seeing now is just the digitized version. But here's the thing. While most conversations tend to focus on how obviously Xiao Xiao is being abused for views and likes, there's actually another hidden layer to the story that gets completely overlooked. One thing that might change how you view everything up to this point is a simple concept: poverty. If you watch the videos closely, especially paying attention to the background, it's evident that Xiao Xiao's family lives in a poorer, more rural environment, suggesting that they're not very well off. So while it's easy to point fingers for what we see happening to Xiao Xiao, it's important to understand that there's actually a bit more to the bigger picture. You see, poverty and disability in rural China are deeply interwoven, and it's not hard to see why. Studies show that over 60% of rural households include someone with a disability or chronic illness. Although China has launched aid programs for individuals and families of people with severe disabilities, actual implementation of these often falls short in less developed regions. So, if you're someone living in the US currently, you probably already know how much healthcare can put a strain on your wallet. So just imagine what someone living in rural China had to deal with. Without reliable social safety nets, families in these situations often resort to any means necessary to survive. And, unfortunately, in Xiao Xiao's case, this consists of turning a vulnerable family member into a content mill. Now, please don't get me wrong, this part of the video is not to excuse what's happening to Xiao Xiao or condone her caregiver's actions. Far from it, in fact. But rather than painting her family as irredeemably evil, I'm simply suggesting that there's something more complex at play here. Other exploitative social media content that we often see doesn't typically emerge from deep-seated poverty. Most of these creators still have other alternatives to earn livelihoods. But for Xiao Xiao's family, this might very well have felt like their only shot at making a real living. Don't worry though, I won't let this video end on a bad note, and there's actually a silver lining worth mentioning. During my research of this case, I found an active TikTok account belonging to Xiao Xiao and her mother, and I know it's official since I was actually in one of the recent live streams. As for the videos posted on this account, the content hasn't changed much. She still yells and has her outbursts, but noticeably, the overt mistreatment towards her seems to have been reduced. On one of the pinned videos, we see the caption, "She," referring to Xiao Xiao, "used to lose her temper, but now I make her happy every day." Although this is a small gesture, it still suggests that her mother/caretaker is now at least partially aware of how her actions can affect Xiao Xiao negatively. It's hard to say whether Xiao Xiao is being treated better off camera too, or if the family has just become more selective about what they post. But either way, Xiao Xiao does seem visibly more at ease in recent videos. All in all, I genuinely hope her situation is better now, and I truly wish nothing but the best for her. If you enjoyed this video, you might want to check this one out too. Thanks for watching.